So I say what I was talking about on Sunday, if you go back through the blog post, I also shared with you a couple of crypto stocks that I've just bought, and I explained all the ins and outs in the video. I talked fundamentally about what's going on. I talked about crypto, I talked about stocks, and then of course I talked about forex and gave you some ideas to focus on. But what I was saying is the 55 EMA has clearly been in control. And you can see for the dollar index, apart from 3 or 4 days in July, you could say that this has been in control basically going back to at least December of last year. It was major support, then it broke, and it's been major resistance since. So basically, with the dollar index, you're looking for a reaction anywhere up here. If the dollar was to shoot back up again, the first place you would be thinking, where could it stop next? And then Bitcoin, I showed you in the video as well, and it's trying again today. It's now spent a week. It's broken the trend line. It's ready to go. It's the time of year it really needs to get going. And there's lots of things going on in the background. And I shared a really good research paper with you. How many bothered to read the research paper? Anybody? Morning, Farah. And quite a few more snuck in. Hi, Adam. Adam in Bali. And Anton. So I shared the research with you, but I was showing you this. So now for 10 days, Bitcoin cannot break the 55. If it breaks, I expect it to pop, and I expect it to be back up here. And I'm hoping it's going to go considerably further. And there are lots of reasons to suspect that that is the case. And then I shared with you the dollar Swissy. Again, it's identical virtually to the dollar index for obvious reasons. And it's now broken the range I was looking at the weekend. So Friday it came down, now it's broken. And you basically start looking for areas where you think, well, this thing is going to bounce again. And at the moment, it could be quite a while off. And Euro USD, I was explaining why I would not be a buyer of the Euro USD up here, because this major, massive previous resistance, and therefore the probability of it going on a big run is less than it rejecting. So for me, that was not the one. The good thing is there were a few trade setups I saw. 55 EMA clearly is going to be a very interesting area if it pulls back. But I also went on to explain you're going to follow the 5 reasons, and these are the 5 reasons. So if you take a screenshot now or watch the replay of the video, it's going to be easier for you. These are the 5 reasons we use, and then the things that could go wrong. Well, here you're going to struggle for 5 reasons, and you fib it, probably 50% fib in here from the low. But there were some that actually do fit all the rules. Pound USD as well. I wouldn't touch it where it is at the moment, because this is massive, major previous resistance. And the probability of it getting through is less than it doing so. It's done 50 pips today already, and the average range is 87. I wouldn't be touching it, but I would if it pulls back down. Now, this is one where I have used the EMAs to my advantage. So this is the euro pound, and I've shown on here I have 2 orders on the euro pound. This is the one I was hoping for throughout the summer, didn't get there. And then I shared on Sunday that if you look at what's going on structure-wise, again, the 55 EMA has been in control. But here, unlike the Euro USD and the others where we don't have the multiple reasons, we do now. So we have the trend line, we have the 55 EMA, we have the monthly 200 EMA, we have the 78.6 fib, we have the whole number to put the stop behind in an uptrend with a reasonable risk reward. Now here I've been ultra cautious with this. I've put in a 37 pip stop because I've gone below the recent low. You could be more aggressive with this and go just below the 200. But the thing is, when I get near a whole number, and this thing likes to bounce off whole numbers as well. So I've gone for caution here. But I'm risking 35 for a potential 80, possibly 120. So the risk reward is still there. Wouldn't take it where it is at the moment. USD CAD, I talked about the news. Dollar yen, Ashley will go through all of these. Aussie dollar. So again, the Aussie dollar is one where I have placed 2 trades for similar reasons as with the euro pound. But what I did say, and I have taken a trade this week and it lost. And I spoke about this on Sunday. This is the NZD. Now the NZD technically rejected last week in here, and if we fibbed it, actually fib wants to go there, we fibbed it to here. I had multiple reasons to support the theory of a short, but what I spoke about in the video is if I was going to take it, I would half my normal risk. Why What is the concern? Why was I wary with the NZD, even though technically we're in a down channel and that would be the area to short for multiple reasons? What clues were there that that was not a good idea? Anybody? Now, where's my chat box gone? Adam says, Aussie dollar was bullish, correct. And Alexi was saying as well, you've got weakness in the dollar index. Yes, Anton says he looked at the link of the research. I think it's as far as he got. Too long, didn't read. You really ought to be reading this stuff, you guys. You can't be spoon feeding you all the time. Right now, with the New Zealand dollars, it's now broken through. If we get a bigger move up, it needs to break 78.6 fib for me. So my rule is until or unless this breaks, I am still of the mind it's going down. Won't short it here because I only have one reason. So I really need a clear breakout up here later in the week, hopefully for a long. Then I would have multiple reasons for the stop and a good potential risk reward ratio. I think there was another one I was looking at this morning, Aussie yen. So this was one I spoke about the weekend as well. CAD yen was a mess, wasn't sure. And then I highlighted why the AUD yen was. And again, you have at least 5 reasons, multiple reasons to support the theory of going long, even though the dollar yen has broken down, and that's for fundamental reasons. Now, this was interesting this morning. I was not in this, but this is a stock that's gone up 3,000% in the last day or so, which is nuts. And it is insane. But that is what crypto does. And at the moment, it's on fire for the reasons explained in the aforementioned article, which is here. And the summary of this, in fact, most of these articles do have a summary at the end to save the lazy lot, most of you, from actually reading through it all. But basically, they're just talking about all the regulatory things that have been going on in the background, which I've been sharing with you all year, all the Trump administration's moves and how it is making crypto more accessible. And you can now put pension money into it and lots of other things. So this, for me, at the moment is hot. And all we need is 1 or 2 of these and you can make a serious amount of money. And back in 2020, when I did the webinar for crypto, one of the crypto tokens I had in my main portfolio was Cardano. That went up 6,000% in a matter of weeks. So you need to be paying attention to this stuff because not financial advice and it is high risk and you need to only be risking money you can afford to lose. But the potential for insane gains, I believe, over the next few months, and historically that is supported as well because I shared this with you before. This is how money generally flows in crypto. So retail puts money in fiat and they buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes on a run, they take their profit and they then buy Ethereum. Then they take the profit from Ethereum and buy the mid and then the small caps. And then they take the profit back into Bitcoin, which is what I have done all the way along and shared that with you as well. And then the other thing I shared with you is that we've got the golden cross going on for the move up. Cyclically, it's that time of year. I can't remember if I got an image on here now. But the cycle from halving and then the major spurt is that kind of, it's just disappeared now, is this. So we are at the moment here. And if you recall, those of you who were with me in 2020, it was in the October of 2020 when Bitcoin, I think, was around 12 grand and Cardano, etc., was probably around 5 cents. That's when it went on the parabolic run through to April of the following year when it all tanked. So potentially, historically, this is where we are, and this is why I have been focusing with crypto more than anything else. I also explained to you much earlier than most people, it kind of clicked with me that one of the biggest benefits and one of the reasons why the Americans are doing what they're doing is the stablecoin companies have to buy US treasuries. And the Russian president, I think it was yesterday, minister, said that it's all a Ponzi, it's all been designed by the US, that they're going to basically liquidate their $37 trillion of debt and pull it all down and collapse. And they may in the future. But let's face it, the expression in English, let's make hay while the sun shines. And for me at the moment, we are on the cusp of some massive moves, and these two are a big part of it as well. So for me, the time is right. I don't know if I shared this with you, but a lot of these companies now are, the reason why this company's gone nuts is all of a sudden they have put part of their treasury into the aforementioned Trump Brothers World Coin Token. So what a lot of these companies are doing, like Strategy, they are taking cash or they're even borrowing cash or issuing shares to buy cryptos as a treasury instead of just sitting with cash or US bonds. And one company is also doing it for Doge. And Doge is one of the crazy ones. I still hold Doge because I think that Musk, eventually, when he gets his act together with X and it becomes a full portal for everything as he originally intended with PayPal 10, 15 years ago, I'm sure that he would be using Doge as well. So it's a crazy one. It's silly cheap, but it's one of those that just might go to the moon. So shared all of that lot with you. And then on Sunday, I was showing you about the 55 EMA and what gone on with Bitcoin. These are all the buy signals I sent out, and I shared some of these with you in live training sessions here. I certainly shared the buy. I made a buy at 76,500. I made another one at 80 something. I even bought at 105, which I would never envisage. But if you go back to that chart I've just shown you, I took the profit from the small ones to buy Bitcoin. I would not have spent 105,000 of my own money at that time. I was basically spending the profit because I've been in it a long time. And Ethereum. So Ethereum now, there is a big treasury company for Ethereum, and that is Galaxy, and that is one of the stocks I shared with you on Sunday. So Galaxy now have, but I can't remember what they've got. They're the biggest holder of Ethereum as a treasury, and this is just M2. So if you have a look at here, I'm looking at the previous major support and resistance. I was looking at a pullback, a 78.6 pullback. Now, what I did say, and I had a trend line in here as well, but the fundamentals are what gets me into crypto and stocks more than the technical. I use the technical for entries. Now, I am breaking my own rule here in it is below the 55 EMA, but I think we're in the treading water phase at the moment, and I'm willing to take that risk. But what I explained from here, I only buy a stock if it can make at least 25% in a short space of time, and that's a month ago. And I also only buy crypto if I think it can make 35% in a relatively short space of time. So this is a crypto stock. I'm covered on both of those. But the reason I'm getting involved is fundamentals. Now, IBIT is the BlackRock ETF for Bitcoin. If you want to buy Bitcoin, that's not necessarily the best one. Mara is now the second biggest holder of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They are a Bitcoin miner, and they are second only to Strategy. And I can't remember, I was reading the results of one of these companies the other day, and I think it might be in Riot, and the cost of their Bitcoin at the moment to make is around $50,000, and currently they're valued 100. And the thing is, what happens with the miners, the Bitcoin miners, when the price of Bitcoin is down, because the cost of production is so high, they often have to sell what they produce. At the moment, they are all being able to accumulate because the cost versus the price is so great. And if Bitcoin and crypto goes on a run, then I anticipate these to go on a big run. Similarly with Coinbase, I've explained before, very, very similar to pattern to Galaxy. I bought some more the other day at 300 and sent a note out on Telegram about that. And I think I probably showed you this as well. I think that this is quite capable of going to $1,000, but it is not financial advice and it is all a risk. MicroStrategy, biggest holder of Bitcoin on the planet. The S&P have changed the rules, so they're not going to go into the S&P now, and yet it did hold. It didn't suddenly go on a big drop. So all of these, and the other one I was talking to you about on Sunday is this CLSK. Now this breaks my M2 rules altogether. But the reason why I'm buying this one at the moment, if you look at this, this is a massive area of previous support and resistance. And I think actually this might be the one where the results came out and it dropped, which was crazy. Share price drops 8% since the company recorded its third quarter fiscal. They were up 90% year on year on sales. The future projections are good. The current cost of production, I'm sure somewhere in here says it's around $44,000. So lots and lots of positives about this company, but everybody's lost interest and they're looking for the next sexy one. That's the time for me that I have been buying. And I've shared this with you before. I did it again last year in the summer with Cardano when it was down here and everybody had lost interest, I was just buying. Every time I had a few $100s spare, I'd buy a bit more and I'd buy a bit more. And I was rewarded when Trump got in because that went up 260% in 3 weeks. And I've showed before the best one at the time was this H bar. And again, I sent that out on Telegram and that went up 550% in 3 weeks. So these opportunities are out there. This was another M2 potential buy here. It's kicking now. It's looking like it wants to go. So just open your mind to other possibilities, but don't just blindly dive in to copy anybody else. Understand what's going on. Hence my giving you that link to follow. Khalid says, where do you buy Bitcoin? Because many website shows much higher prices. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. I mean, there is a spread, obviously, Khalid, but you'd have to check where you are. I think you're in the Middle East, are you, or in Indonesia? I can't remember now. Well, Oman Trader. Okay, it's a clue. You just check out the different brokers, but the spread is not so bad. I have got some BMNR, but I think I took a chunk out of that when it went up. Has it gone? Yeah, BMNR went on a crazy run, so I did take some profit out. I mean, this was the biggest one. I was not in it on this one. This went up 70%. So I think I've taken 70% of the stake out. So I've reduced my risk. It's in a buy area at the moment, if you so choose. Iron is not, it is too expensive, and a lot of them are too expensive at the moment. The other thing for me with all of this is because I've been buying gold and silver and the miners going back since 2020, my portfolio is hedged. So as we have a bad day for crypto and a bad day for stocks, it doesn't matter to me because the gold and silver are going up. And gold has now hit all-time highs, and I think it's on its way to 4,000. I think me and Ashley were talking about this the other day from the flag pattern. It was expected to be something like a $500 move, was it? Which would take it spookily up. 3,750 seems to ring a bell. But I mean, it's just going, and it's not just against the dollar, it's going against all the currencies. So this is not just dollar weakness. And then silver now is at, the biggest, highest position since 2012 after the financial crash. Ring a bell. And again, it's got through 40 and it's holding at the moment. And I have M2 set up looking for potential pullbacks. And then the best mining stock for me last year was this one, which was up 260%, EXK. And my best mining stock this year is one called Groy. And that one is up, I think 200%. And they are a gold royalty company. So to me, it's all about balancing things out. And for that, you do need to have a greater awareness of what's going on. And just other questions. Anton, you're saying I'd love to know more about stock analysis in fundamentals and technicals. I do talk about it in the videos and I do talk about it here, although there's a limited amount of time. But seriously, you need to just get reading half of the time. There's a lot of information out there. I think you're a member of Your Investing Future, are you? I will have a new update for there in the next week or so. Right. So for me, where did I get to? I was looking yesterday at the news. You've got the yuan going on because of the politics situation. You've got the French debt is now at all-time highs and they're in a real mess. This is really going to cause chaos if the Supreme Court do not rule in Trump's favor, because there's potentially trillions of dollars got to be given back. And I can't see the Supreme Court going for it, but you never know. And then they're talking about the dollar slides and gold rallies. So again, this is all this thing about if the riskier, the simplistic thing actually, Anton, to answer the question is you are either in a risk-on environment or a risk-off environment. And a risk-on environment means, just as it suggests, investors are willing to take more risk and therefore crypto will go up. Another benefit for crypto is if the Fed, and 90% of the experts now expect them to cut rates next week, if the Fed cuts rates, that means more cash comes into the economy for people to spend. And then the theory is they are more likely to put that into stocks and or crypto. So depending on the political environment and everything else that's going on, when people are willing to take on more risk, then the things like stocks, some of the smaller stocks, but equally the tech stocks will go up. and gold and silver will go down, and Bitcoin and crypto will go up. Now, from a fundamental perspective, it used to be easy because it could go on for months and months and months. We were in risk on, it just kept going up. Now with Trump, it can literally change in half an hour. Um, one other little tip I will give you. This is a tip. This is not financial advice. This is a stock I bought a bit of the other day. I am already in a ETF for cannabis. Trump spoke about declassifying, changing the classification for cannabis producers. And at the moment, cannabis companies in the US are not allowed to claim expenses. And I think that expenses even includes employees. So their profitability is severely limited. And cannabis a few years ago was on a crazy, crazy run and nuts. But the problem for the companies is they have to charge more for the product because of the fact that they can't claim their expenses. So the street price for cannabis is still cheaper than the legit, and therefore they are fighting that. Now, if they suddenly can start to be more profitable, then they could well be that they're going to sell lots more of it. Potentially to the recent high is 135% and 150 to the weekly EMA. Any day now, Trump and I've forgotten his name now, Terry Cole, who's the new head of the DEA, are expected to rule on this. So be careful. If they rule against it, this is going to tank. So this is a bet more than an investment. But if they come out and the noises that they've been making and the cannabis industry heavily lobbied Trump and donated money to his re-election, and they have had meetings with him since he's got in. And the inconsistencies with cannabis in America is crazy because I think 20 states it's legal, others it's not. There's people in jail for possession because on a third strike and things. So there's lots of reasons why you could understand them going down the route of changing the regulation. So it's a very interesting one, and it might just double or triple. If it shoots up, if it gets to here, then I personally will take out my stake at least. And if it starts to wobble, I will take some of the profit, and then I would leave the balance to run, maybe 20%, the same as I do with forex. Um, yeah. Right, where did I get to? Is there anything on here I've forgotten? Oh, yeah, France. So, this moron, this is President Macron. The French hate him. I don't think anybody likes him, but he's really angling to be the head of the EU, I think. Once these morons get into power, Starmer's the same in the UK, detested in the UK, but they then have their eye on the higher job, something in Europe or something in NATO. And I'm sure that what's this twonk is looking at. But he's just gone through his fifth prime minister, I think this year, and they can't get the legislation through that they want. And they changed the rules to stop the right wing getting in. There's all sorts going on in French politics. And there was even a comment from a French minister the other day, if we don't get our act together, it's going to be as bad as the UK. And the UK is in a mess. So all of that that's going on now, as ever, we need to pay attention to what news is coming out. PPI is important again this week, but it's a relatively light week. But again, as I was saying on Sunday, just be careful. The EU main financing rate now is 2.15%, so it's virtually half the American. They're not expected to cut it any further, and I would be very surprised if they did. If they did, then expect big move on the euro. If they don't and they raise it, they equally could be a big move. So you leave it alone and you wait out until Ms. Lagarde has done her press conference at the end, when she will preen herself and tell you what she's been thinking. Remember, she was the one in 2020 who said that inflation was just a little and it would soon come back down. And it's taken 5 years and a lot of massaging figures. So this week, if Trump talks about with the DEA about cannabis, that could be a winner. Equally, if they don't, it could be a loser. The other thing about the mining stocks, and I've explained this before, this is a merger of Anglo American and Teck Resources. The mining companies, I was reading an article the other day for China. China now has accumulated massive amounts of rare earth materials. And this is something that they have got the Americans by the cojones because America, despite everything else Trump is going to do, do not have the same level, well, A, of stock, and B, being able to mine it. And the Chinese mining companies can be up and running within a year or two because they don't have to bother with all this environmental stuff that the Western world does. And so the Western world now, to open a new mine costs, and this is from one of my clients who's a banker in Australia who lends money to mining companies, and he told me it costs at least $1 billion now to open a new mine, and it takes 10 years on average for the environmental reasons, and some mines around the world take 20 years. So existing mines, and the means that the big boys are looking avariciously at some of the mid-range ones, the ones that are already producing, and especially if they're next door to them. So I anticipate there will be more buyouts and there will be more mergers. And we did have a buyout of one of our stocks last year, and now I can't remember the name of the damn thing, but that shot up a few 100% because suddenly one of the big boys came in. So again, understand what's going on, but the simplistic level, Anton, is we are either in a risk-on environment or risk-off. Risk-off is money is pulled back. The Japanese pull money back to Japan, the Swiss franc gets stronger, and gold and silver could go to the moon. Right, I normally take far too much time of Ashley's. He said I had half an hour today, and I've done it in 29 minutes, so I have behaved myself. Right, I need to get on with some looking at some studying before the markets open, so I'm going to leave you with Ashley. Are you there, Ash?